There is a voice you don't hear with your ears, but your heart feels it. What if, at this very moment, a confession of love were coming to you? Not from a human being, but from the one who created you. What if Allah were speaking to you, not with ordinary words, but with signs, verses, trials, people? Someone is going to speak to your heart, and that someone may be much more than you imagine. Stay until the end, because what you are about to hear may well be the silent answer your soul has been waiting for. Mantambi, the silence before the call, the stillness before the revelation. There is this strange moment. It is unlike anything else. It makes no noise. It gives no warning. It slowly seeps into your routine. You continue to live, but everything is different. The things you loved no longer move you. You smile, but your heart is elsewhere. You speak, but your soul is silent. You feel an emptiness, but this emptiness isn't a hole. It's an expectation, as if something were about to happen. But you don't know what, you don't know how, you just know that it's close. This silence isn't an ordinary emptiness. It's a sacred preamble. This calm that disorients you, this inner silence, this strange slowing down in your daily life. It's the heart preparing to hear a language that ears cannot grasp, a language that only attentive hearts recognize, the language of Allah. Not with articulated words, not with a human voice, but with subtle signs, feelings that can't be explained, moments charged with a profound meaning that only you can understand. You know that feeling when you're alone in your room, and everything becomes heavy for no reason? When you stare at the ceiling, aimless, but something inside compels you to reflect, to turn inward. It's not just a passing crisis, it's a spiritual alert, a wake-up call, not abrupt, gentle, gradual. What you feel now, this silent strangeness, this sudden disinterest in this world that obsessed you yesterday, it's a mercy. You may be one step away from an inner revelation, not a vision, not a spectacular miracle, but a truth, a peace, an understanding that will reorganize everything within you. It is Allah who approaches your heart without your knowledge. And sometimes, what he does first is silence everything else. 2. Verses of love. The Quran as an intimate letter. What if every line you've ever read wasn't just a sacred text, but a letter? A letter written for you, not for the believer, not for humanity, but for you. What if, through every word, every silence between sentences, someone loved you, silently, but intensely? There is a warmth in certain words that surpasses ink. There is a scent of an invisible embrace in certain names, like Ar-Rahman. You see nothing, but your heart knows it has been recognized. You may say to yourself, I am not worthy. But he didn't ask you if you were. He sent you a language your heart understands, even when your mouth no longer speaks. Sentences you've read 100 times, but which, that evening, break you, wake you up, cleanse you. They aren't words, they're heartbeats. The heartbeats of a divine heart gently calling you. Because he could have ignored you. He could have let you run without ever calling you back. But he chose to speak, again and again, through signs, breaths, subtle vibrations that only you feel when you're ready to hear. And you, did you think you were alone? Did you believe your inner silence was empty? No. It was the moment the letter was read, in the depths of your soul. True intimacy isn't shouted, it's whispered. And the Quran, in its sweetest passages, doesn't just speak, it embraces. It's a voiceless confession, a proof of unconditional love. It doesn't say, "You are perfect." It says, "I see you. I'm here. Come back." Because sometimes, the greatest declaration of love is not a cry from the heart. It's a simple line, read at the right time, by a weary heart, and which finally recognizes that it has always been loved. 3. Someone will speak to your heart. But are you ready to listen? You want answers. You want to feel something. You want change. But be honest for a second. Are you really listening? Not with your ears, with your heart, with your calm, with your attention. Because the voice you seek isn't loud. It isn't shouted in crowds. It descends, slowly, silently, deeply, and often, it arrives when everything within you begins to collapse. Allah speaks, but not like you and me. He speaks through the people you pass by without looking, through a simple sentence, spoken by someone you'll never see again, through this fatigue you feel for no reason, through this moment when everything stops, without explanation, and you feel something you can't name. You want to hear, but you filter it. You decide in advance how the answer should come. And if it doesn't come as you imagined, you say, "I received nothing." But Allah doesn't follow your script. He knows you better than you know yourself. And sometimes, He knows you'll only listen after the pain, after the loss, after the incomprehensible, when you no longer care about anything, except one last thing, Him. Someone will speak to your heart. It might not be the one you're waiting for. It won't always be a guide, a scholar, a leader. It might be a stranger on a bus. A tear shed without words. A sudden sensation in the middle of the night where you feel He's here. And it will be sweet. It will be strong, it will be silent. But it will make noise inside you. Because the heart, when touched by the Creator, never remains neutral. But the real question, the only one that matters, is this. Are you ready to hear something unlike anything you've ever heard before? Because this time, it's not a person, it's not a video, it's Allah choosing a moment, the right one, yours. And that moment, maybe it's now. 4. When Allah confesses His love through trials, you thought love was always tender, always pleasant, always visible. But Allah's love doesn't need to be comfortable to be real. It's sometimes harsh, crude, direct, but it's always fair, always merciful. Allah doesn't love you like the world loves you. The world lets you cling to what destroys you, but He rips it away, even if you cling to it, even if you cry, even if you struggle. You prayed for this relationship to continue, but it fell apart. You wanted to keep this job, but it slipped away. You wanted this life, this project, this plan, and everything collapsed, brutally, without warning. And you cried out, wait, but He answers you differently. He answers you with days without answers, with long nights, with a heavy heart, not because He abandons you, but because He shapes you. Every loss is a silent message. It wasn't good for you. I protected you, even if you don't understand yet. What you call suffering, I call purification. It's not poetic, It's not easy to live through, but it's real. And when you look back, you'll see that the pain brought you back to what's essential, to the source, to the one you had forgotten in your comfort zone. The trial is not a punishment, it's a reorientation, a declaration of love in disguise. Silent proof that your heart was worth too much to be left in illusion. You see, people love you as long as you are useful to them. But Allah loves you even when you have nothing, even when you are on your knees, even when you are broken, without strength, without a plan. And it is in those moments, in those terrifying lows, that He speaks to you. Not with empty promises, but with actions, with walls that crumble to prevent your final fall, with no's that save your soul, with delays that avert catastrophes. That is what a divine confession is. Not a word, but a rescue. And sometimes, the greatest love is the one who snatches you from evil, even when you wanted to stay there. 5. What if this video was the message you've been waiting for? You're here, now, in front of this screen, with your story, your scars, your silences. And it's no coincidence. Maybe you clicked out of curiosity. Maybe you're scrolling without thinking too much. But one thing is certain, your heart felt something. A shiver, a tension, a small inner stirring you can't explain. That's where it all begins. What if this video, this voice, these words, this was the message you've been waiting for weeks, months, maybe even years? Not a social media message, not a fleeting notification, but a response, one of those you no longer dare hope for. Do you really think you landed here by mistake? No. There's no mistake when Allah decides to touch a heart. He chooses the right moment, the right medium, the right tone, and sometimes He sends a simple reminder, behind the screen, to light a light that nothing else could rekindle. You waited. You cried out silently. You pretended to be fine while your insides were emptying, and now these words resonate within you. Not because they're powerful, but because they come at the right time. Your own. You thought you'd been forgotten. You thought no one saw what you were going through. And yet, listen carefully. Someone is speaking to your heart. What if this someone wasn't a person, but Allah Himself, through all of this, through this atmosphere, this music, this way of speaking to you, not to impress you, not to convince you, just to remind you, you are loved. Yes, loved. Still, despite your mistakes, despite your silence, despite what you think you've destroyed, this isn't a simple declaration. It's an invitation to stop, to feel, to come back. Because maybe the sign you've been waiting for is now. This precise moment, this heart beating faster, this breath you catch. So listen carefully, not with your ears, but with that part of you that only He can reach. You know, the one you thought was dead. She's waking up. You've just heard more than just a message. You've just received a reminder, a divine whisper, a heavenly invitation to reconnect your heart to the source. Don't let this moment pass like any other. Take the time, meditate, reread a verse, speak to Allah. Open your heart to Him sincerely. And if you felt something, share this video. You don't know how much it can touch another soul, lost or on the verge of awakening. Someone else also needs to hear that Allah's love is real. And perhaps it's through you that this message will come through.